3 months pregnant, my husband Michael unexpectedly died in a rescue operation, his ashes brought back by his twin brother, carried in an urn. I tried to die for love, attempting suicide 5 times, but was saved each time. Gazing at that identical face, my mind was a blur. The whole family knelt, begging me to keep the baby, so Michael could shoulder the responsibilities for both families. On the day of the funeral, as I was wearing deep mourning attire, I accidentally overheard Michael and the family's conversation. "Michael, how could you let her grieve over dog ashes? What if she finds out you're not actually dead? Your wife will hate you forever." Michael, impersonating his deceased brother, silently sighed and squeezed his girlfriend Tiffany's hand. "Mom, Tiffany's delicate constitution means childbirth would drain her energy, but Grace is different. Once she gives birth, I'll find an excuse to take care of both of them. That way, I'll have done right by her. Once she has the baby, she won't be able to escape. Besides, Grace's family is so rich, it would be a waste not to use her resources." The whole family quietly discussed how to exploit me completely and squeeze every last bit of value out of me. Looking at the white mourning ribbons filling the room, I gave a self-deprecating laugh. I tapped on Michael's best friend's WhatsApp contact photo. "I'm getting married. Will you be the groom?" After sending the message, the conversation in the room continued. "Grace loves me so much she's practically dying for me. She even attempted suicide 5 times. Even if she finds out I really deceived her, she definitely won't blame me. Her family is wealthy. As long as I pull a few strings, won't all that money be mine?" Michael's laughter reached my ears. It was incredibly grating. Besides, my feelings for Grace faded a long time ago. Tiffany is my true love. Once her baby is born, I'll kick Grace out. For the sake of her child, she'll have to swallow her pride and stay with me. My body suddenly turned cold. I couldn't hold back anymore, and tears streamed down. It turned out that, in his eyes, I was nothing more than a pawn. As I turned to leave, I accidentally brushed against a wind chime. The door suddenly burst open. Michael and his family stood before me, looking panicked. "Grace, what did you hear?" My gaze swept over these sanctimonious people. I lowered my eyes to hide the emotions in them. "I'm too upset, I didn't hear anything." Visibly, he breathed a sigh of relief. Tiffany, standing beside him, deliberately took his arm and provocatively circled in front of me. I ignored her. I went back to my room and dug out the couple's items from when Michael and I were together. When I heard the news of his death, I cleaned and polished them daily, fearing even a speck of dust, as if that would bring him back to me. Now, it all seemed utterly ridiculous. With white mourning ribbons on my head, my heart dead, I held the love letters he wrote to me and the gifts he gave me, and threw them all, without hesitation, into the fire. "Grace, are you crazy? Why are you burning these things?" Michael lunged towards the fire, but Tiffany, beside him, held him back. "I am your sister-in-law. And these are my deceased husband's belongings. I have the right to dispose of them." He was choked with anger. His clenched fists loosened, and, in a fit of rage, he laughed, repeating "fine" 3 times. After a long silence, he finally controlled himself. "Grace, aren't you afraid this will upset my brother?" Looking at that identical face, I felt a pang of confusion. He was still deceiving me. My feelings, my obsession, were just a joke to him. A sarcastic smile played on my lips. "He's already gone, what's the point of keeping them?" Michael's Adam's apple bobbed. His emotions were complex. I took off the white mourning ribbons and walked out. I drove to the hospital. The moment the cold instruments entered my body made my entire body suddenly go cold. By the time I returned home, it was already dark. Michael had his arm around Tiffany's waist, but quickly pulled his hand away when he saw me and guiltily looked away. "Grace, why are you so pale? Could it be that seeing me with Michael made you miss your late husband?" Tiffany, feigning concern, helped me and opened a bowl of meat soup in front of me. Strangely, Mittens, who was always so greedy, was nowhere to be found. In the fresh meat soup, a foot tag was unmistakably floating. My fingertips trembled violently. I couldn't believe it. Mittens was bought by Michael and me on the day we got our marriage certificate. She held so many of our memories. He actually let Tiffany stew her. "Tiffany made this especially for you. Cat meat is very nourishing for pregnant women. Don't be so sensitive, drink it quickly." Tears streamed down my face, and, due to the fluctuating pregnancy hormones, I couldn't help but vomit. "Tiffany, that was my kitten. How dare you stew her?" I urgently grabbed her collar, demanding an explanation for Mittens, but shoved me away, and I fell helplessly to the ground. My hand hovered in midair. He withdrew it. "It's just a cat. You've made Tiffany cry." She had good intentions. How could you be so ungrateful? The whole family sided with him. No one spoke up for me. The little cat lay alone on the dining table. I was sobbing so hard I was almost breathless. Holding her favorite scratching post, I slowly walked to the open ground behind the mansion. Burying that here would be so inauspicious. Grace, you're really going too far. I froze. I slowly turned around, my eyes so red they looked as if they were bleeding. I bought this mansion. If you're uncomfortable, you're free to leave. Her face darkened, and a flash of venomous resentment appeared in her eyes. Michael bit his lower lip tightly, seemingly still holding back. After burying the kitten, I went back to my room to pack my bags. All the memories associated with this mansion. I wanted nothing more to do with them. The door opened. To my surprise, Michael walked in, holding a USB drive. Grace, this is what my brother left for me before he passed away. I promised him I would take good care of you and the child from now on, as if you were my own wife and child, with no ulterior motives. A crackling sound came from the recording, and Michael's voice played intermittently. All his family assets were left to his younger brother, and I and the child were entrusted to his care. He played his part very well, and I had no reason not to play along. Watching his retreating figure, I couldn't help but laugh bitterly. Michael was a special forces soldier. He had spent years in the jungle, and had once almost fallen off a cliff, which left him with a slight limp in his left leg. Even though he tried his best to act normal, a careful observer would still notice it. I blamed myself for being too consumed by grief before and not noticing this detail. Perhaps because of the abortion, after washing up, my head felt heavy, and I went to sleep early. Not long after, my bedroom door was kicked open. Tiffany screamed, holding her phone, and the screen was filled with angry comments. Grace, your husband just passed away, and you're already sleeping with a security guard? How can my brother rest in peace? Grace, I never thought you'd be like this. I rubbed my eyes and got out of bed, my gaze sweeping over the people opposite me, not understanding what they were saying. But the next second, seeing the security guard beside me, I shrieked. When did he get into my bed? Mr. Michael, Ms. Grace lured me, and I couldn't resist, so. A flicker of disgust crossed Michael's eyes. Before I could explain, he grabbed my hair and yanked me to the floor. Inside and outside the mansion, the servants' gazes were enough to kill me. It wasn't me. I don't even know this security guard. How could I have slept with him? Someone must be framing me. But no one believed me. Fanny even held her phone in front of my face, as if afraid people wouldn't remember what I looked like. I smashed the phone to pieces and stared at her. Why did you randomly come to my room to livestream? Or did you know for certain that this security guard would be in my bed? You orchestrated all of this, didn't you? Her face went pale. Then her eyes darted around, and she gave a mocking smile. Grace, if you ask me, this child probably isn't your late husband's either, is it? Michael's brows furrowed even deeper. That gaze stung my heart. I looked at him helplessly, shaking my head. Do you really not believe me? When I first met Michael, I had countless admirers, but I only had eyes for him. For 5 years, I couldn't believe he would truly wrong me. Yet, unexpectedly, he wasn't even willing to investigate and casually condemned me. I never thought you'd be this kind of woman. Even if my brother were alive, you'd probably have angered him to death. Adultery, in the past, would have led to a public shaming ritual. He found a water tank somewhere and threw me in. The icy cold well water chilled me to the bone, and my lower body was trembling. I passed out twice before he pulled me out. He threw the company contract in front of me. They wanted all my assets, pushing me to the brink, leaving me utterly defenseless. You've wronged my brother, so use this to pay him back. My bright red fingerprint landed on the signature line. The two of them left, satisfied. I caught a cold from the freezing water and was unconscious for the entire night. Until I woke up in the early morning, Tiffany pushed open my door and walked in, holding a bowl of chicken soup. Michael stood behind her, his gaze occasionally flicking to my abdomen. Grace, even though you did such a thing, you are still carrying the Hayes family's bloodline. If you give birth to this child, it will be a way to honor your late husband. The chicken soup was placed in front of me, but 3 strands of tea hair were clearly floating on top. Tiffany's smile didn't reach her eyes. Her hand suddenly loosened, and the soup spilled all over my collarbone. It hurts. Michael quickly came over and, without hesitation, put her finger in his mouth. I call you Grace out of respect. Not so you can bully Tiffany. It seems my brother spoiled you too much. I suppressed the pain and looked up at the unfamiliar man before me. My eyes welled up with tears, and my lips curved into a bitter smile. Yes, the Michael who truly loved me would never treat me this way. He would never falsely accuse me or be with another woman. You are not him. His body swayed slightly, and a deep, unfathomable turmoil swirled in his dark pupils. Tell me, is he really dead? Or are you hiding something from me? The air grew terrifyingly silent. Tiffany's legs buckled, and she fell into his arms. A moment later, he pulled away from me again. Grace, my brother truly is dead. I gave a bitter smile, watching him leave. There was no longer any reason for me to stay in this house. Feeling lightheaded, I got into my car, ready to get as far away from them as possible. But the brakes unexpectedly failed, and I crashed into a pile of large rocks nearby. In an instant, rocks smashed onto the car windows. I felt dizzy and faint, and my entire body ached to the point where I couldn't breathe. I dialed Michael's number, wanting him to save me. Michael, please, hurry. The voice on the other end paused, cursed me as crazy, then hung up. The pain made me faint. I tried to crawl out, but my legs were pinned by the boulders, completely immobilized. There was no one to turn to for help. A thin figure walked towards me from a distance, holding a yellow gasoline can. Please, help me. The wind blew their hat off. When I saw the person's face, my blood instantly ran cold. The faulty brakes, the perfectly timed accident, and the unanswered phone calls, all proved that someone was planning against me. Tiffany snarled, acing an eyebrow, and lit a lighter. Grace, you can't escape. Die. My entire body burned with scorching heat. The pain made me break out in a cold sweat. When I opened my eyes again, I was already in the hospital. Alexander stood opposite me, his face grim. His eyes were as sharp as ancient ice, enough to make anyone tremble. Grace, you rejected my confession and chose to be with a man like this. Is this the life you get? I was speechless for a moment, unsure how to explain. Alexander was Michael's best friend. He had been developing his career abroad for many years. We met by chance at a dinner party. He fell in love with me at first sight, but my eyes were always on Michael. After his 3 confessions failed, he became disheartened and went abroad. Gradually, we lost touch. Perhaps my 18-year-old self never imagined that Michael could change his heart. He sighed helplessly, took the congee himself and fed me, and asked if I wanted revenge. Of course. Just not yet. I stayed by his side for 10 full days. He used the best medical resources to heal my burns, but my skin already had faint scars that would never fade. Michael called me over a dozen times, all of them demanding to know where I was and ordering me to come back. His excuses changed from the funeral to missing the child, eventually evolving into wanting to marry me and formally take care of both me and Tiffany. Crazy. I coldly blocked him and browsed the online news. Tiffany insisted on proof of life or death, using the news of my alleged affair to try and lure me out. Seeing I remained indifferent, she pointed the blame at my parents. My parents passed away early, and I was like movable property. Whoever possessed me would enjoy endless wealth and glory. So I hit the jackpot? I rolled my eyes at him helplessly. A person who controlled both legal and illegal businesses was still deliberately acting innocent in front of me, but they'd lived in that mansion for so long. It was time to take it back. Alexander's smile was eerie, and his whole body exuded a chilling aura. It's time they met you. Evening, as the street lights came on, the Hayes family's hotel was magnificent. I sat in a corner, observing them. Michael and Tiffany deliberately dressed as high society figures, mingling through the crowd, drumming up business for themselves. My brother passed away early, so he entrusted Grace to me. You know, a pregnant woman can't be here, it's too much trouble. Everyone around gave knowing smiles and praised his good fortune. He was also boasting about the Hayes scale, taking credit for it all. I couldn't help but laugh out loud, and the wine glass I had raised was snatched away. Grace, what are you doing here? He was about to scold me for drinking. When he saw my flat stomach, he gasped. Where's the baby? Did you abort the child? Without any leverage over me, his expression stiffened, and his face turned purple. He tried to pull me away, but seeing Alexander, he plastered on a fawning smile. Alexander, with a cold expression, demanded to know what he was doing. He wanted to state his identity, but seeing me, he had to change his words. I'm Michael's brother. He passed away early, so the company was left for me to manage. I'll need more guidance from you in the future, Alexander. This is Grace. She's promiscuous and doesn't belong in high society. She'll only be an eyesore here. After speaking, he glared at me reproachfully, as if I were a disgrace. He tried to lay a hand on me, but Alexander's bodyguard stopped him. The commotion was so loud that everyone in the room looked our way. Grace? Mr. Michael, I think you might be mistaken. I forgot to introduce you. This is my fiancée, Mrs. Hayes, CEO of Hayes, Grace. Michael stood frozen in place, unable to believe what he was hearing. It took him a long time to come to his senses. His lips twitched, but he couldn't force a smile. Alexander, don't joke around. She's Grace. My brother's body isn't even cold yet, and you're marrying her? That's outrageous. He then looked at me, clearly flustered. Grace, stop messing around, come back with me, please? Even at this moment, he was still pretending. What kind of ridiculous brother-in-law and sister-in-law trope was this? Seeing my silence, Michael grew angry. You disappeared for half a month. You didn't even come to my brother's funeral. And before his body was even cold, you're with another man? That's utterly shameless and heartless. Grace, come back with me, and I might still forgive you on behalf of my brother. You know the family rules. Don't blame me for being merciless later. I won't be able to protect you. After he said that, the onlookers all turned their attention to me, but out of respect for Alexander, they only dared to whisper. I sneered and shook off his hand. He's just a dead man. And you, who wants to carry on both family lines? You even lust after Grace, and you dare to lecture me? Marrying is certainly better than sharing a bed with my husband's brother, isn't it? Or perhaps, as the younger brother-in-law, you secretly harbored such filthy thoughts about Grace. Michael gritted his teeth, veins bulged on his forehead. He wanted to persuade me to return, but he was speechless. You married into the Hayes family, you are a Hayes. You shouldn't remarry. What's more, my brother hasn't even divorced you. You should remain a widow in the Hayes family. Divorce? Do dead people need paperwork to separate? He was choked into silence by my words. His face turned pale. Alexander took my hand, and, under the gaze of the crowd, we walked past Michael. My woman and my marriage don't need anyone's judgment. If I hear anyone gossip about this again, don't blame me for cutting off their financial lifeline and utterly ruining them. The entire room fell silent. You could hear a pin drop. They didn't even dare to breathe loudly. After leaving the hotel, Michael actually chased after us, running after the car, shouting my name, telling me to immediately return to the Hayes family. Alexander's expression grew increasingly grim. He muttered something into his phone. 3 to 5 minutes later, several men in black, carrying baseball bats, led Michael into the grove of trees. I laughed, calling him a jealous freak and a violent maniac. Who told him to bother you? No, I need to marry you right away. What if that Hayes guy suddenly comes back? Won't I lose my treasure? He took me to a private with a wedding dress and diamond ring ready. His speed astonished me. They were all styles I had liked on social media platforms before. I never thought he had been paying attention for so long. The wedding location was chosen thousands of miles away, abroad, to finish quickly, fearing interference. I teased him for being so impatient. He teased me for being unromantic. Only when I've married you can I truly feel at ease. I've rehearsed this moment 1,000 times even in my dreams. After the ceremony, he pestered me for 3 days and 3 nights, until my back ached. Only then did he relent. My gaze fell on the bright red hickeys on my neck. He nestled into my arms, his face full of smiles. Sorry, I couldn't control myself. I was speechless. He was clearly petty. Otherwise, how could he have kissed me until I was covered in hickeys? In the scorching summer, I was forced to wear high-necked clothes to the airport. As I got off the plane, I saw Michael standing at the arrival gate, looking utterly impatient. When he saw me, he reverted to his condescending demeanor. Grace, stop throwing tantrums. Come back with me quickly. The news of Alexander and my marriage was completely sealed and unknown in China. He stood opposite me, his face cold. I know you're unhappy about what happened before, and you blame me for not being fair. But you shouldn't marry Alexander as an act of revenge. He's my brother's best friend. Still lying to me. And I actually thought he had a change of heart. Are you done talking? If so, I'm leaving. I scoffed and shook my head, deliberately taking Alexander's hand, which he forcefully pulled away. My brother just died. Don't you feel uneasy about this? This is adultery. To be with him, you actually aborted your child? He was already 3 months old, a little life. People came and went at the airport. I didn't want to argue with him here and lose face, but Michael's voice grew louder, clearly unwilling to give up. His sanctimonious appearance struck me as hypocritical and utterly ridiculous. So what? You're noble and considerate. You were afraid Tiffany couldn't bear the pain, so you deliberately used me to have a child. Do you really think I don't know anything? I poked his chest, the shape of a bullet casing faintly visible. I put all my strength into it. I forgot to remind you, a limp cannot be disguised as normal. I saw through your little tricks clearly. you know exactly what you did. He swayed incredulously, and his throat suddenly became incredibly dry. You know everything? I shrugged indifferently and nodded slightly. Michael stumbled back, his legs weak. His body crashed heavily against an iron rack, and his eyes trembled. You've been deceiving me from the start. You even made me mourn over a dog's ashes. To get my family assets, you repeatedly tried to kill me. You even staged a car accident. Michael, you are truly heartless. His pupils dilated in shock. He clutched my arm, like a drowning person finally finding a lifeline. Car accident? What car accident? Explain yourself. Stop pretending. I kicked him away and couldn't be bothered to argue further. Alexander and I returned to the mansion. Michael watched my retreating back, his mind a chaotic mess. He drove towards his house, his steps unsteady. As he passed the pile of crushed rocks, he suddenly hit the brakes. He remembered that an accident had indeed occurred there a few days ago. It was said that all the crushed rocks had fallen, accidentally igniting a gasoline can and causing a severe fire. At that time, he had wanted to go watch the commotion, but Tiffany stopped him. Something flashed through his mind. His fingertips trembled as he scrolled through his call history. Then he opened the news to compare. It was the same day. Grace.it was you. Michael returned home in a daze. As he reached the top of the stairs on the second floor, he found that all my clothes from my room had been thrown out by Tiffany. Didn't I tell you not to touch her things? Who told you to move in without permission? Tiffany was stunned by his shouting, and large tears streamed down her face. I have a baby, so I wanted to be closer to you. She held the ultrasound report and placed it in front of him. The words twin babies made him dizzy. His chest felt heavy, and he couldn't speak. The last time he did it was 2 months ago. How could she suddenly be pregnant now? If you want Grace to come back, then I'll just leave. She made to leave, but Mrs. Margaret stopped her. The two of them cooperated, insisting that the child must be kept. Michael was at his wit's end, so he just buried his head in the sand. Hiding in his room, trying every way to contact me, but all that remained for him was a red exclamation mark. He couldn't get into the Hayes family's mansion, and Tiffany's baby couldn't be aborted. Helpless, he had no choice but to patiently accompany her to her prenatal checkups. Did you see that couple just now? So talented and beautiful. Their children must be gorgeous. That's Mr. Hayes, they say he's incredibly handsome. I never expected his wife to be so beautiful too. They're such a perfect match. Michael's body stiffened. His heart pounded wildly as he looked back. His breathing suddenly became ragged. The person he thought about day and night appeared before him. He felt as if time had stopped. Abandoning, who was getting her ultrasound, he quickly walked behind me and grabbed my wrist. Grace, are you pregnant? I didn't expect him to be in the obstetrics and gynecology department. My mind went blank for a moment. I quickly put distance between us, fearing he would go mad and harm my baby. So what? What does it have to do with you? Michael, your brother is dead. After all this time, you wouldn't still expect me to remain a widow, would you? He looked pale and sickly and stammered a defense. I couldn't hear him clearly, and I didn't want to. I'm sorry. I lied to you. I'm not Michael at all. I'm not dead. He strode towards me, his voice urgent, afraid I would leave. He reached out his arms, wanting to explain. Tiffany is a nurse I met in the jungle. She saved me, and I developed feelings for her. But I truly love you. Everything was just a farce. Come back with me. The whole family is waiting for you. He said it so casually, glossing over the fact that he had deceived me. All the tears I shed, and the nights I spent crying in agony, were casually brushed aside. I'm sorry, Michael is dead. I don't believe anything you say. He was desperate. He forcefully ripped open his shirt collar, revealing the bullet casing on his chest. It's me, Grace. I am Michael. Last time, I deliberately poked his chest. My goal was to make him realize. Now, it wasn't necessary. It didn't matter who he was. Tiffany, now dressed, anxiously searched for his retreating figure. I only found it laughable. Your love is truly grand. You claim to miss me, but you're actually here with your new wife for a checkup. What, did this child just appear out of thin air? He bit his lower lip tightly, looking at me as if he wanted to speak but couldn't. He shook off Tiffany's clinging. Grace, listen to me. She seduced me. That's why I came up with that plan, but deep down, I still love you. His cold fingertips brought back memories of that night. I scoffed, my words cutting deeply. Love? The love you speak of, is it throwing me into icy water? Do you know that I had just had an abortion then? My whole body was in terrible pain, and I almost became infertile. The love you speak of, is it watching her find a man to slander me? If you had a shred of decency, you would have realized that security guard was hired temporarily. The more I spoke, the angrier I became. I walked up to Tiffany. She didn't dare to look up at me, but I forcibly grabbed her chin and slapped her hard. You probably regret not stoning me to death back then, but instead pouring gasoline. You didn't expect me to survive the fire. She tried to run, but I pinned her against the wall, unable to move. Michael's pupils suddenly dilated. He quickly walked between us, demanding to know what was going on. If you want to know, ask your new wife. After scolding her, I felt exceptionally good. Stroking the baby in my belly, I made a decision. It was time to reclaim my mansion. Alexander brought over a dozen bodyguards, who stood behind me, protecting my safety. I kicked open the mansion door and coldly swept my gaze over everyone inside. The moment Tiffany saw me, her gaze became stiff and blank, and she instinctively stepped back. What are you doing? Let me tell you, this is trespassing. You can be arrested for this. Don't think I won't call the police just because you have the Hayes family backing you. She probably forgot that this mansion was in my name. Not just her, everyone had to be kicked out. The rest of the Hayes family rushed over. Michael was forced to step forward, softly pleading with me to spare him. This house holds all our memories. How can you bear to kick me out? I said nothing. He thought I had softened, and continued to coax me. I've already talked to Mom and Dad. As long as you come back, everything will be put under your name, and the company will be yours. He pulled out keys and contracts and obsequiously handed them to me. Alexander and I exchanged a glance, clearly seeing the disdain in each other's eyes. Alexander crooked his thigh. Inger, and the bodyguards rushed in. It was instantly filled with wails. Grace, just because you have money, does that mean you can bully others like this? Kicking us out in the middle of the night, what about me and the baby? Tiffany shrieked hysterically, and trickles of blood seeped between her legs. I ignored her and knelt on the ground, focused on digging up the kitten's remains. The chaotic noise behind me was irrelevant, and tears instantly soaked my eyes. She had taken the blow for me. She shouldn't be left alone here. I brought Mittens back to the mansion, placed her alone in a custom-made urn, and buried her under the poplar tree in the yard. After everything was handled, I stared blankly into a corner. It was said that Tiffany's emotions fluctuated, and because both babies were ectopic pregnancies, which were very dangerous, Michael still forced her to have an abortion. She remained depressed and frustrated all day, rental house, and never leaving. As for my company, I easily reclaimed it with just a few simple maneuvers. That was also sold by me. Any memory of Michael disgusted me. There was no need to keep them, only to add to my troubles. As my due date approached, Alexander gradually shifted his company's focus and made time every day to be with me, easing my anxiety. When we were bored, we would recall the past. You were so stubborn, insisting you had a psychic reading that said Michael and you were a perfect match. He pouted jealously, stroking my belly. It made me so angry, I pressed that psychic for answers. He told me that you had 10 readings, forcing him to change the divination results. Then I understood, you truly hated me, and that's why I left, heartbroken. I never knew that was the reason he left back then. A wave of guilt washed over me, and I took his hand, apologizing sincerely. Adolescent love, genuine and passionate. Even if everyone in the world disapproved of me being with him, I would fight against them all. Looking back now, it all seemed utterly ridiculous. But it's okay now, you're by my side. Alexander curled his legs. Disregarding his discomfort, he leaned on my shoulder, his voice uncharacteristically choked. That day, I received your message and rushed over immediately, only to see you engulfed in flames. Do you know how terrified I was? I wished it were me lying in there instead. A cold glint flashed in his eyes, carrying a terrifying sense of dread. Those who hurt you, I will make them pay. Now, I was nearing childbirth, and truly had no desire to focus my energy on them. Since he insisted on doing it, I didn't stop him. I moved into the hospital room early. This was Alexander's specially arranged VIP hospital room, so I didn't have to worry about others disturbing me. I was leisurely eating fruit, not noticing the doctor who pushed open the door. Michael stared intently at me, a glint of light in his eyes, making me shiver with dread. Grace, long time no see. How did he get in? Michael quickly pulled the curtains shut, walked to my side and stroked my face. Grace, why do you have to push me to the brink? Everyone outside is looking for me to repay money, they want me dead. I have no choice, I had to come to you. If you hadn't completely ruined me, I wouldn't have ended up like this. My heart pounded uncontrollably. I offered to give him money and send him abroad, if only he would let me go. Too late. His smile magnified before my eyes. My head swam, and I instantly plunged into darkness. When I woke up again, I was tied to a chair. Tiffany stood opposite me, smiling maniacally at me, singing an unknown children's song. My child, your child will be my child. My whole body was covered in goosebumps. I trembled as I looked at the surgical knife nearby. I pretty much guessed what he intended to do. I secretly hoped Alexander would appear soon. That hospital room had 24-hour surveillance. If I wasn't in there, he would surely know. Just needed to buy a little ammo. Time. I looked at him sadly and finally revealed the long-suppressed secret. Michael, are you taking revenge for Tiffany, or are you taking revenge for a child that isn't even yours? Is it really worth taking a life for him? A flicker of doubt crossed his eyes, clearly not understanding what I meant. Tiffany's twins aren't yours at all. On the day we met at the hospital, Alexander deliberately retrieved her records. Michael and I conceived our child after trying for a full year. Even if she had a highly fertile constitution, it wouldn't be such a coincidence. Later, when I went to the mansion, I collected their hair and compared their DNA. With methods, handling this shouldn't be difficult. I hadn't intended to tell you, but now I have no choice. That child isn't yours at all. If you don't believe me, you can open my phone. The paternity test results are clearly written in the gallery. He stared at me suspiciously, his gaze lingering on Tiffany. In the end, he couldn't suppress the doubt in his heart and snatched my phone. The moment it booted up, he clearly saw the file in the gallery. I let out a silent sigh of relief. Tiffany. She froze at his shout, then looked at him with a foolish smile. You dared to lie to me. That's not my child at all. The two of them wrestled, and Tiffany's eyes gradually cleared from their cloudy state. So what if he's not yours? You slept with me, and this child is partly yours. You brought her here against her will today. We're in this together, and neither of us can escape. With such clear logic, how could she be an idiot? I hadn't expected her to be faking it. Michael's courage had completely vanished. He tried to run, but Tiffany held a knife to his waist, demanding he force the baby out of me. The two argued incessantly, each wishing the other would take responsibility, and neither dared to make a rash move. A screech of brakes echoed from a distance. Less than 2 seconds later, the metal gate was kicked open. Alexander, radiating a menacing aura, picked up a baseball bat and swung it at the back of Michael's head. The pungent smell of blood reached my nostrils, and I felt so sick I was about to vomit. Don't look. He stood in front of me, putting on my glasses and mask, effectively blocking out the screams and sounds of the beating. The whole ordeal had left me completely exhausted. Shortly after arriving at the hospital, I was wheeled into the delivery room. Alexander stayed by my side the entire time I was in labor, holding my palm, his heart aching so much he teared up. Finally, I gave birth to a girl. Later, my body fully recovered. I spent my days busy caring for my daughter, and my leisure time traveling and sightseeing. It was widely rumored in the business world that Alexander was a doting husband and father. He was practically nowhere to be found outside of the company. Others said he unleashed his fury for the woman he loved. Reportedly, Michael was beaten to death on the spot. Since he had abducted me first, Michael's family dared not speak up, terrified Alexander would retaliate against them, and so they quietly dropped the matter. As for Tiffany, she was taken to a brothel and subjected to daily torment. The child she was carrying was conceived, but then she was forced to miscarry. From a fake lunatic, she became truly insane and covered in filth. When I heard this news, I was busy enjoying our time alone with Alexander and shrugged in resignation. Well, they shouldn't have plotted against me. That's what they get.